Week 1 is in the books, and yeah, we need to panic. I mean, it was terrible. It did not go how we expected. All our studs busted. There's no way it's going to get better, right? Okay, hold on. Let's calm down a little bit. We know it's just 1 week. Let's not overreact here, but maybe we should on some players, maybe not on others. We got 10 players. We're going to break them down. If you got them on your Dynasty team, we're going to let you know, should you not be panicking? And let's start with a big-name wide receiver. Brian Thomas Jr. obviously had a great rookie season last year. Did not pick up where he left off in 2025. Just 1 catch for 11 yards. Thankfully, did have that rushing touchdown to kind of save his day, but we can't bank on that every week. So, John, if you got Brian Thomas Jr. on any of your Dynasty teams, how panicked are you right now?
Well, realistically, the panic meter is probably at a 0 for a player who finished in top 10 at the wide receiver position last year and is only in his 2nd season, super young, super talented. But I warmed it up a little, put it at a level 3. More so, not because of the bad performance necessarily, but because we did see a lot of involvement out of Travis Hunter in week 1 on the field for 64% of offensive snaps with 8 total targets. But at the end of the day, Brian Thomas Jr. still 7 targets. It was a bad overall performance from Trevor Lawrence and this offense. Much better days are ahead. My panic level still very low here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say a 0. I mean, maybe a 1. Maybe a 0 is unfair because I'm a little nervous about Trevor Lawrence. Like, he missed some easy throws to Brian Thomas, but Brian Thomas will be fine. Going to only put it out of 1. Now, it might be higher on this next wide receiver, talking about Jaylen Waddle. That Dolphins offense does not look good right now. He's still a young wide receiver. He's still a talented wide receiver, so you got to factor that in when it comes to Dynasty. But that being said, if you got Jaylen Waddle, how panicked are you right now?
Might be an overreaction from week 1, but I have my panic meter at a 10 for Jaylen Waddle because the offensive play overall, absolutely awful. Tua seeing ghosts, and, we got a little bit of an injury to Jaylen Waddle in this game. Was able to come back and play, but how many times throughout his career have we seen that? Since 2023, he's been on the injury report 9 total times. It just gets old after a while and just really worrisome as a long-term manager. In Dynasty, the end is never necessarily here, but we look to last year, only 4 double-digit games for Waddle. I am definitely completely panicked when it comes to Jaylen Waddle at this point, even only in week 2 of the season.
Yeah, I think I got to definitely have this above a 5. I'm going to say a 7 here because he is still young, but I do worry, like, how talented is he really? This is now potentially 3 straight years of not very good production for this guy. And like you said, he's always seems to be banged up, limping off the field, getting hurt. So he still has a chance, right? Because he's not super old, and maybe he goes to a new team at some point, or maybe something changes at the situation, coaching, quarterback, whatever it is. But you can't feel good right now. I'm going to say a 7. Now, how about a rookie wide receiver? I was very high on this guy. I still have hopes for this guy. It's only been 1 game. But Matthew Golden, a lot of people in their rookie drafts this year might have drafted this guy in the 1st round, maybe early 2nd round. They didn't get that kind of production from him in week 1. How worried are you going forward?
I'll put my panic meter around like the 4.5. I mean, realistically, this is his first ever NFL start. I don't think the panic level should be high. We look to week 1 total snaps at the wide receiver position for the Packers. He still had 16 total snaps, and in terms of slot receiver snaps, 5 total. So still in the top 3 amongst all wide receivers in both of those areas. We look at the game script overall. Jordan Love only threw for 188 passing yards, and the offense just did not need to throw. The defense was dominating. The run game was very good. The game script was not there for Matthew Golden. Better days are ahead. And don't forget, Romeo Doubs in the final year of his contract, and Dontayvion Wicks is only 1 year behind Romeo Doubs. So there is a lot of room for Matthew Golden. Very young in his career. No need to panic here at all.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put the panic level at a dead 0. There's no panic here. It was his first game. It was a tough matchup against the Lions, and like you said, they didn't have to do anything offensively really in this game because the Lions could do nothing against that defense. He'll be fine. It might take till the end of the year. Not everybody can be a Mecca Igbuka and be great week 1. Might take till the end of the year, but he'll eventually be fine. All right, now let's go to quarterback. And if you started Bo Nix in week 1, you're probably wondering what the heck happened. I mean, this was a disaster for Bo Nix, and it wasn't like they didn't ask him to throw the ball. He threw it plenty in this game. It just wasn't very good. So if you got Bo Nix in Dynasty, coming into the second year after a nice rookie year, are you starting to panic?
Absolutely not. I mean, all quarterbacks have bad games. My panic meter probably at a 0 or 1 here. You look back to last year, right? Overall, Bo Nix had a lot of bad performances. He had 4 turnovers in the first 2 games last year and 5 games on the season with 2 turnovers or more. I mean, the Titans' defensive play calling was really good in week 1, and the front 7 looked pretty dang stout as well. So, listen, there's just not a lot to discuss here. All quarterbacks are going to have bad days. Nothing to discuss. Panic meter, very, very, very low here.
Yeah, I'm going to put it like maybe a 3 because I had my doubts. Even last year, Bo Nix was playing well. I was still like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too low on Bo Nix. I don't know what it is. I had my worries coming into this year, but I still think he's going to be fine. It's way too soon to give up on this guy and freak out. So I'm going to say a 3. That might be a little too high just because I have my own kind of like perceived worries about Bo Nix. But yeah, I mean, don't overreact to this one game. How about another rookie, a running back this time, Omarion Hampton? A lot of people already ready to label this guy a bust because he got kind of shut down by the Chiefs' run defense, but they blew up that offensive line many times. One of the best run defenses. Where are you at in terms of panic level for Omarion Hampton right now?
Yeah, I feel like, we had to throw Omarion Hampton in this video because of the week 1 performance, but your panic meter should be at an absolute 0 here. Like you said, Chiefs finished the week top 5 against the run in terms of fantasy points allowed to the running back position. This Chiefs defense was great last year against the run, and overall, his usage was elite. I know the fantasy stat line wasn't there, but if you own Hampton, you should feel amazing going into week 2. 80% of snaps for Hampton, 15 total rushing attempts, compared to Najee Harris, who had the other, 17 or 18%, whatever it was, in terms of snaps that were left over, with 1 rushing attempt. No need to panic here whatsoever. Hampton will be just fine.
Totally agree. No panic here at all. I watched the film. He looked good. He looked totally fine. If you're worried about Hampton, it's because you're just looking at the box score and that's it. He's going to be totally fine. Can we say the same thing for Isiah Pacheco, though, who, I started to come around on like, okay, maybe he's going to be the guy here, and then he wasn't the guy. It's just back to a 50-50 split pretty much across the board with him and Kareem Hunt. Is that going to change, and what's your panic level?
You're absolutely right. The split was exactly 50-50. The same amount of carries and the same amount of targets for both Pacheco and Hunt in week 1, 5 rushing attempts and 3 targets for each. My panic meter, I might be overreacting here again, but I got it at like an 8. And I've been a long time like Isiah Pacheco truther and always holding out for this guy, but he's in the final year of his contract. Feels like a very replaceable running back. And this is a running back by committee, like we just said, at least for this year in Kansas City. And, maybe it's a little unfair. It was a tough matchup against the Chargers, like we just talked about with Hampton, and game script forced them to throw. But what's the long-term upside here? I really worry that Isiah Pacheco is just another guy. And don't get me wrong, once again, he's still relatively young. And in Dynasty, nothing's ever over right away, but it feels like he's not going to be on this team next year. And I really worry about the long-term upside with Isiah Pacheco.
Yeah, I'm going to put it at a 6 because, like you said, there is still potential for him because he's not old. He doesn't have a lot of wear and tear. Kareem Hunt can't be there forever. Like, come on, this guy, come on. It's time to move on from Kareem Hunt, Chiefs. And I still do think maybe there's a chance this year that the Chiefs say, you know what, Pacheco's better. We got to give him the ball more. But you got to be a little nervous right now for sure. And then I don't know. I might be more nervous than you on this next guy. That's Kaleb Johnson. Again, in your rookie drafts, you probably took this guy end of the first round, early second round, depending on, what you needed, how deep your league is. And he barely even saw the field in week 1. Kenneth Gainwell is way ahead of Kaleb Johnson right now. What's your panic level here?
Yeah, I just put it right there in the 5. I think it could be kind of team dependent here. I think if you're a contender, you're a lot more panicked. If you're, kind of rebuilding, whatever, I don't think you need to panic as much here. But like you said, looking at consensus rookie draft ADP for Superflex leagues this past year, so it was the number 12 overall pick just by consensus ADP. And the usage was, like you said, absolutely not promising in week 1. Kenneth Gainwell, 52% of the snaps. I mean, who predicted that? Then Jaylen Warren, 46% of the snaps, which I think we all expected. And Jaylen Warren got a lot of the valuable touches overall. listen, I don't want to freak out here. If you're a contender, I think you should be worried because this is an Arthur Smith run-first system, although, I don't know, maybe Aaron Rodgers is changing that. But ultimately, I just don't know what we're going to get out of Kaleb Johnson this year. Don't completely panic, but you kind of got to sit back and say, I don't know if this guy is going to be able to help my roster this season. We will find out.
Yeah, I'm going to put the panic at a 7 here, and you don't want to overreact to week 1, but when I looked at Kaleb Johnson as a prospect, he just looked like one of these guys that he needed the right spot. He's not like an Omarion Hampton or an Ashton Genty or a Bijan Robinson or these guys who can thrive, anywhere. Like, he needed the right spot, and if he doesn't get it to start his career, he may never get it. So I think you got to be a little nervous right now. I'm going to put it at a 7. Then what about Tony Pollard, a guy I like this year? Didn't have a terrible first week. I know he didn't have a huge stat line, but he dominated the touches there. Are we starting to get worried here that, maybe about the offense, Cam Ward, that offensive line? Are we starting to get panicked here?
Well, I did think Tony Pollard was a good pick for this video because I felt like a lot of contending teams went out and tried to acquire Tony Pollard kind of quietly throughout the offseason. But that being said, my panic meter is at like a 3. I'm not worried here. Awful matchup. I didn't like any Titans players going into week 1 whatsoever on the road against that Denver defense. And the game script just did not benefit Tony Pollard. But like you said, the usage was absolutely elite. 89% of snaps for Tony Pollard in week 1, 18 total rushing attempts. And the fumble, like, you can't really hold it against him. You watch the replay. It was a great hit by the defender and not really Tony Pollard's fault. I will say in the next coming weeks, very, very short term, I'm a little worried because he gets the Rams, the Colts, and the Texans. And if week 1 was any indicator, all those defenses have pretty good front sevens, although I don't want to overreact to the Colts either. But ultimately, he's only competing with Julius Chestnut for touches right now until Tajay Spears is back. I'm not ready to panic whatsoever on Pollard.
Yeah, I'm not panicking here. I'll put it maybe like a 2 or a 3. Better days are ahead. That was the Broncos. He's the clear workhorse back. And even when Spears comes back, he's still the clear workhorse. All right, one more running back, Tyrone Tracy Jr. I know this is a guy very polarizing, right? It seems like you either like him or you don't like him. Did not have a great week 1. I mean, none of the Giants had a great week 1. Let's be honest. It was like, who was worse? Who was the worst offense, Giants or Dolphins in week 1? Like, they're fighting for that crown here. So what's the panic level on Tyrone Tracy right now?
Between like a 5 and 6, and in the short term, I think a 6, because like you said, the Giants offense just looked absolutely atrocious in week 1, and I'm just not excited about this offense. I think a lot of the game scripts and upcoming games are just not going to benefit Tyrone Tracy because they're going to be forced to throw, and he gets some usage in the receiving game, but I kind of feel similar about Tracy, in terms of like how I feel about Isiah Pacheco, where I'm worried he could be just another guy and a player who's going to be easily replaceable. I still like him. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some opportunity here, but in terms of Cam Scatterbo, he's just kind of sitting there knocking, and it's not like he did anything special in this game, but he still had 2 rushing attempts. Like, they're going to try and get him somewhat involved, 2 targets as well. And very slow in week 1, but I think as the weeks go on, that'll kind of ramp up. So I like Tracy in the offseason. I don't want to panic too much here, but I worry more about the overall offense than Tracy as a player.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried here because, like you said, I felt like when they drafted Scatterbo, I was like, Scatterbo can definitely replace Tracy. He feels very replaceable to me, and this is not a great situation. I don't know if Scatterbo's going to replace him this year, but he is knocking. Remember, he missed most of camp. He's going to get off to a slow start, and he runs with a different style than Tyrone Tracy, that's for sure. So I'm going to actually say a 7 here. And then our final player, we're going to talk about a tight end, David Njoku. Had high hopes for Njoku coming into the season. And look, the Browns tight end was great in week 1, except it was rookie Harold Fannin Jr. So where are we at with Njoku right now?
Kind of just put him at a 5. It might be, once again, roster dependent. Are you a contender? Are you a rebuilder? If you're a contender, I'm a lot more worried, I think, because like you said, Harold Fannin got involved, and it's just a weird split here. Like, we had Njoku on the field for 84% of snaps compared to Fannin on the field for 72% of snaps. 6 targets to Njoku, 9 for Fannin. So it does kind of remind me of like Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews week 1 last year, and maybe that's the type of situation we're walking into, which once again I don't think is great because it's going to be very difficult to call. Listen, I just want to kind of sit back here and not worry too much. don't overreact to week 1, but ultimately the usage out of Fannin has to have you a little bit nervous if Njoku is a player you're relying on to help you get to a potential championship in the 2025 season.
Yeah, I'm going to say a 6 here, and that might be a little low for me. My worry is I saw that between these two guys, Harold Fannin was a guy who was actually getting open significantly more than David Njoku, which may explain the fact that even though he ran less routes than David Njoku, he got more targets because he was open more. Fannin's a good prospect. Maybe he's going to at least make this a 50-50. They did run a lot of 2 tight end sets. We shall see. All right, there you go. There's 10 players we may or may not be panicking about, but if you got some players on your Dynasty team you're worried about, drop a comment below. We'll let you know what we think. Of course, if you missed our first video, players you got to go buy low, you can find that one right here.